Okay. Howdy, my friend, and welcome to your 7th and final day of our Total Beginner Challenge. Before we get started, I want to congratulate you for making it this far. Super amazing job. You committed to something, and then you actually did the thing. You did the work, the hard thing that nobody likes to do, which is show up, be new at something, be bad at something, grapple with all of the frustrations and confusions that come up, and still come out on the other side. And what I hope is that you feel really, really proud of yourself and you feel like this is something you can take forward with you into your everyday life. So, on that note, Ollie and I are here together today. We are going to put all of our lessons together into one big class, a ball of fun. And to get started, we'll just use our chair at the top of our mat as per usual. And then we'll get started on our backs. So please press pause, take all the time that you need, and we will meet down here. So your first few moments on your back are just for you. Move around in any way that feels good. Breathe in any way that feels good. You can sigh the breath out with some noise. You can flutter the breath out through your lips like a horse. And we'll meet with our feet on the ground. We'll lift our heads up and scooch it away from our torso so that the back of the head gets really long. And we'll take our hands onto the front of the ribs and gently guide them down. When you do that, the back of your neck is going to scrunch again. So take one of your hands again to your skull, lift your skull up, stretch it back. So you feel a little bit of a play there. Back of the neck long, but front ribs down. And take a few deep breaths here, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your nose or mouth, whatever feels right. And every inhalation that you take, try to fill up 3-dimensionally, really low in your belly and your ribs. Down here, inflate your back ribs with every inhale. And you'll go on your own breath. So you'll inhale to energize, fill up completely, breathe into your back ribs. And you'll exhale to engage your butt muscles and scoop your pelvis up off the mat any amount. We'll begin to pulse the hips a little bit up and down here, getting those butt muscles to fire even more. And still, each inhalation, fill up nice and full, 3-dimensionally into the lower ribs. Now hold the pelvis up here. Reaching the arms up, pull back on the fingers of one hand, so you're stretching out that forearm. At the same time, take the front ribs down. Really breathe into the back ribs with every inhale, like you're trying to pull your back ribs down to the floor as your tailbone lifts up towards your knees. Change sides. And as you feel ready for it, release the arms, release the pelvis all the way down. Take a nice full breath in, breathe into your back ribs. And on your exhale, engage your butt muscles, scoop your pelvis up off the floor. Again, we're back in our bridge pose. Breathe into your back ribs, inflate them down towards the mat as you reach the arms up. And then squeeze your fists in. Stretch your fingers far away from each other. Go back and forth, flicking the wrists, doing this a number of times until we really start to feel the forearms warm up, heat up. There's lots of complexity here. We got our butt on, we got our forearm work happening, and we have our breathing. We're doing our very best to pay attention to all of it. As we feel ready, come all the way down with the hips. And interlock the hands behind the head with the elbows wrapped in. Our breath is our friend in our ab work, And although this is not fun, it's very effective and we're doing it together. So it is fun after all. You'll take a nice full breath in, breathe into your back ribs. And on your exhale, engage your abdomen and lift off your head any amount. Head soft into the hands, soft jaw. Taking full deep breaths. And as you feel ready, unfurl yourself back down. That first one is just the brain waking things up, like the brain saying, do I know how to do this? And now we add repetition so that it gets more crisp. Take a full breath into your back ribs. Exhale, come up off the shoulder blades. Option to twist an inch to the left, magnetizing your right ribs and your left frontal hip bone. Come back to center and unfurl your way back down. Try not to hold your breath, but keep that breath nice and full. I'm a bad example because I'm talking. And so taking a full breath in, breathe into the back ribs. And on your breath out, engage your abdomen, lift up off the head any amount. Option to twist an inch to the right, magnetize left ribs to right frontal hip bone. Come back to center and unfurl yourself down. These moments in between should be sweet moments just for you to move around in your hips or widen your elbows, anything that's going to just make you feel really good between reps. We have one more set to go. This time we have the option to add on more complexity, and that's just an option. So please do not feel pressured to go farther because there's tons to pay attention to even in the simplest places. This is just if you're feeling plugged in. So you'll take a full breath in, inflating the back ribs, and then you'll exhale, grounding your back into the floor, lift up. And now you have the option to lift your left knee up over the left hip and turn an inch to the left. Come back through center, take the left foot down and unfurl your upper body. Just one more on the other side. We'll see how it feels. Taking a full breath into the back ribs. Exhale, engage your abdomen, lift up off your head. Option to lift the right knee up over the hip and twist an inch to the right. Come back to center, take that right foot down and unfurl the upper body. We did it. We made it through our ab series. You can draw your knees into the belly, moving the knees around, getting a little bit of space in the hips and the low back there, going in both directions. However you'd like to transition, you can roll on your side or rock and roll the length of your spine. Totally up to you. And we'll come up and over into our tabletop. Now, you know you can always pause class and give your wrists a little bit more love if they tend to kind of cramp out on you here. And as we'll kind of pitter patter the palms left and right, shifting the weight left and right, practicing layering our fingers down and really letting the finger where it joins up with the palm be a really heavy connection. Center yourself here, push your fingers down and away from each other. That should create some strength and stability in your chest. Snug your knees a little bit closer than your hips so you have more control of your pelvis. Breathe into your back ribs and fix your low back so you could put your breakfast on it. Now seeing, can I fire hydrant the right knee open to the right without changing any of that? It's just a try. And then I bring that right knee underneath. Same thing on the left and underneath. And go at your own pace here, taking about 10 on each side. The target is our outer hips, kind of same as your butt, just a fancier way of saying butt. And meanwhile, everything else is trying to be really stable. That's difficult. It's actually more difficult to remain stable than to move the thing. So the more stable we are, the more specific we get into that target muscle and the more benefits we get. So it seems crazy. You're like, I want to do big movements so I get big benefits. Actually, most of the benefits come from really small movements. Okay, we'll take those legs down. We're going to kickstand that left leg open so it's parallel to the front of the mat. Step that left hand a little bit farther forward and stretch your right foot back, toes pointing to the long edge of the mat. So we've practiced this one time before. Push down through your pointer finger of your left hand. Take your right hand to your left shoulder and snug it down into your body so that you have space between your shoulder and your ear. Now take your hand to your front ribs, gently guide your front ribs toward the pelvis. Breathe into your back ribs and push your pelvis up over that left knee. As you feel ready, we're going to return ourselves to tabletop position. And if you need to take a break, please do. In tabletop position, we'll take 10 more fire hydrants on each leg. Opening those legs out. Breathing into our back ribs. And as you feel ready for it, we'll do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to kickstand that right knee open so that the right shin is parallel to the front of the mat. Step your left leg towards the back of the mat with the toes pointing to the long edge. Lean on that right hand. Push through the right pointer finger. Snug that right shoulder down. Really push that pelvis over that right knee. Pull your front ribs towards your pelvis. Breathe into the back ribs. That left arm, it does a thing. It does all the things. Okie dokie, as we feel good here, we're gonna roll back onto our hands and our knees there. Great job, my friend. As you feel ready for it, push off your hands. We're in a high kneeling position. Use your glutes to drive your pelvis vertical over your knees. Just do your best there. We're gonna see balance on your right shin, step your left foot forward so we're in a low lunge. If you need a break from your knees, please take one. Please put cushion underneath them. And here, pelvis goes upright in the body. And you just try to breathe, like feel out where your work is here. Use your breath, and your breath will tell you what to pay attention to first. As we feel ready from this, we're gonna shift the weight forward, hands onto the chair in front of you. So you can move the chair, you can move your body, tuck your back toes, lift off your back knee, and step your back foot forward. So heart between the hands here, ankles underneath the pelvis, knees can be bent, and move around here. Maybe you like some cat-cows to open up some space in your legs and your back. Maybe you like to take some side bends here to open up space along the side seam. So feel out in your body what feels like a fun thing to do. Now we'll come back here trying to find our tabletop spine. And in our tabletop spine, could I lift my right foot away from the floor and start to move that knee around in some itty bitty circles. Really trying to empower that hip. And I want to really feel the standing leg doing a ton of work. So I'm feeling a ton in my left bottom. Really love that feeling. Moving it around in the other direction. Remember, if you're feeling pinching, pain, cramping, that's time to take a break. Okay, now could I stretch my right leg back so that I'm in a lunge and I push my heart back over my left toes? And now could I balance and round up so I'm in a little high lunge there? So the legs don't need to be far apart. I want to get my sense of uprightness here. And now I'm going to see, can I stand on my front foot and bring my right knee up in front of the body? I'm going to control as best I can, stretching my right foot back into my high lunge. With control, step up onto my strong left leg, right knee up. So moving back like this. This is such a complex shape. You can do 10 million repetitions of this and still have something new to pay attention to. So today it's just, what's my work? What can I feel really concretely today? Okay, so now next time you step back, we're gonna turn open. We're gonna do heels in, toes out just slightly as we come down to horse. And I wanna feel pelvis upright in the body. Taking the hands to the front ribs, guide them down. Stretch your chest away from your front ribs and pull your head back. Now one hand on the front, one hand on the back of the pelvis as we lift our left heel and internally rotate that hip. So we're rotating that knee in towards the center. Open that knee out, set the heel down. Same thing on the other side. And our hands are here on our pelvis because we're trying to not move the stuff under our hands. We're just trying to empower our beautiful hippies in their hip sockets to do a really difficult thing. This hip internal rotation, we've lost it. A lot of us have. And so we come here and we're just trying to carve a little bit more out for ourselves. Okay, after this next one, go ahead, straighten the legs there. Maybe stretch your arms wide away from your chest like a little starfish. Breathe into your back ribs. And then taking the hands down, we're gonna turn to face the front. Push down through the left leg, stand up on it, bring the right knee up, and then take the right foot down. So we'll come to the other side. The feet are under the hips or wider apart, whatever feels more supportive. Hinge at the hips, take the hands down. Our heart is in between our hands, and we're trying to hinge the hips as much as we can so that we could put a tray of breakfast on our low back. We're just trying to get that to happen. Make sure you can breathe into your back ribs. And now hold all of that as you lift the left foot away from the floor. And you can lift that up and down a few times if you want to play around or go right into some little hip circles here. Really trying to hold the pelvis still, hold the low back still, doing a ton of work in that right leg. And one side is going to feel a little bit less educated or a lot less educated than the other. So let that be okay. The two sides of our bodies have different stories. Move it around in the other direction. And as we feel ready, we're going to stretch that left leg back, pushing our heart back over the right toe. So we're in a little lunge. And now, rounding all the way on up, we're in a high lunge. And in our high lunge, we're going to press down through that right foot, drive the left knee up in front of us, and then with control, bring it back. So use your hands wherever they feel useful to you. And we are working all of the same principles we have been working with our spine, with our hips, with our chest and our shoulders, all of the good stuff. Okay, we're gonna take just one more, and then we're gonna step it open. And this time, all 10 toes face the side, hands in the hip creases as we bend one knee and then the other for side lunges. And you can start hinging your torso forward over the legs. And at some point, it might feel appropriate to take your hands down the legs, even so far as to come down towards your ankles. Now, that might not be today or this year, and that's okay. So I'm just giving us the spectrum with which to play because all of this is fair game. Getting that inseam of the leg really stretched, really open so it can do stuff for us. And now, coming back towards the front, here we are, come back into your high lunge just for a moment. And we're gonna press down, drive that left knee up, and here we are. So with the feet down on the ground, check in, see how you feel there. Soft bend into the knee, pelvis upright, front ribs down, chest open, head back. Now breathe into your back ribs and lift the arms all the way up. Then exhale, slide the hands down in front of the chest. And inhale, breathe and reach the arms all the way up. And exhale in front of the chest. Breathe into the back ribs as you reach the arms. And then exhale, hinge forward at the hips, hands on the chair or the floor as we move the knees back one at a time. So we're in a high kneel. High kneeling position here. We still have our right side to do, and we're just gonna do this one pose. That's the only one that we have still left. So stepping the right foot forward as we get ourselves vertical over the left leg. And we do our very best, like the legs wanna feel like they're pressing down and squeezing in. And getting ourselves nice and lifted here. And now, can I curl my spine, take my hands down, and move my right knee back so I'm in tabletop position. Push down with the hands, push the hands away from each other there, and gently step the feet back one at a time so I'm in a plank pose. See how this feels for you. Okay, now one at a time, bend the knees, move them back underneath you. We're gonna do that just 2 more times, so just see how it feels, stepping the feet back one at a time, and then bringing them underneath you. One more time, just like that, stepping them back, bringing them underneath you. We're gonna walk the knees back a little bit, walk the hands forward just a little bit, and now see, pushing down with your pointer finger, can you bend your elbows and take them down to the floor, straight behind your hands? Or do they need to go out? And it's okay if they need to go out. Now pushing through your hands, shift up, and then bending the elbows, shift back. We'll do this a couple of times, really aiming at turning on the muscles of the arms, the muscles of the chest, and the upper back. Okay, and now we'll take the elbows down, keep the elbows where they are, shift the shoulders forward so that the armpits stack over the elbows, and push through the hands and see how this feels. Hopefully you feel turned on in these areas. Take your chin into your throat. And now we're gonna step the feet back and settle the pelvis down so we're in Sphinx pose. Point the toes. And in this position, we wanna make the low back and the neck feel really good. So we gotta use our butt muscles, take the tailbone down, pull the front body in, and tuck the chin into the throat. Now see, can you use your abs so much, keep your tailbone heavy? Can you pull your pelvis so it lifts up off the ground, but you're still keeping your tailbone heavy? So the low back is not in a back bend, it's moving out of a back bend. And then set your pelvis back down. Coming forward. Exhale, curl in. This is really difficult. Now walk the knees in underneath you, one at a time, and push up to your hands. Take an exhale out through the mouth here, because you probably got pent up. When we get into this upper body stuff, we kind of flush with heat, and it feels really crazy, right? So from here, ground into your hands, tuck your toes. We're gonna hover the knees up off the floor, feel that, then shift the hips up and back, so we're in a downward facing dog. Push through your hands, lift into your armpits, as if someone was trying to lift your armpits to stack over your wrists. And now see if you can push off your hands and walk them back to your feet, one at a time. If the answer is no to that, that's okay. Come up in any other strategy that works. Take your elbows onto your thighs here, deepen the knee crease, deepen the hip crease, and pull your spine out from your pelvis on all sides. Take full deep breaths into your back ribs. And now ground down through your heels. Slowly roll yourself all the way on up to stand. Roll the shoulders here when you get up, tucking the chin into the throat so the back of the neck gets real long. Okie dokie. We're gonna take the feet underneath us if that feels okay. Push down with that left foot. We're gonna lift the right knee up in front of us. Step the right foot down. Lift the left knee up right in front of us. Step it down. Lift the right knee up right in front of us. Step it down. We're kind of where we are with our chair, right? So left knee up. Now, could I hold this knee as it is, but hinge the pelvis forward and bring the hands down onto the chair, taking my heart in between my fingers, pushing down through that right leg. Just see how that works for you. And then maybe moving that left knee around in some circles. Both directions. And then taking that left foot down, hinge at the hips, come all the way on up to stand. As we feel ready, right knee draws into the belly, and you decide you can hold this, or you can see, just try it out. This is a playtime here. Hinging forward over that left leg, eventually finding the chair, heart in between the fingers, and maybe moving that knee around in some circles. For me, it actually just felt good to stretch that leg long. So you could try that too. That actually feels really strong for me right now. So as we feel ready, bring that knee in, feet down, and then one at a time, we'll walk the knees back. We're in tabletop position. Tabletop position, walk the hands just slightly forward, taking the elbows down and up. And you're shifting your body weight forward and back. And you're trying to get a sense of, maybe you feel some stretch, but also hopefully some activation through the muscles of your arms, your armpits. Taking the elbows down, keep them there. Shift the shoulders so that the armpits stack over the elbows. Sense of activation. And then one at a time, stepping the feet back. Taking the knees down and the pelvis down. Here we are in our little Sphinx pose. So tucking the tail, front body in. And then as we feel ready, curling the pelvis up off the ground. Just try it out. It's okay. And then walk the knees in one at a time. And try out child's pose. Big toes together, knees wide or together. You know, a lot of what I say sometimes is just options for you. So knees wherever they're comfortable. And if this is not a cozy position for you, no worries at all. It's a big shape for your ankles, knees, and hips. So just find something that's going to settle you down a bit. That was a lot of work that we just did. So to round us out today, let's come around onto our backs. Alternatively, if you're really cozy and comfy where you're at, you can stay there. When you come down onto your back here, take your feet wider than your hips. And then if it feels good for your arms, let's do our arms later. For now, hands onto the front of the ribs and guide them down. And gently let your knees fall over to one side. Now keep a sense of activation between your hip bones and your front ribs. So kind of like a spirit of your ab work is in play right here. Breathe into your back ribs, especially the left side. And if it feels good, lengthen the left arm by the left ear. It's gonna feel best when you keep your chin tucked and you really anchor those left ribs down. So you can even take your right hand to your left ribs if you want and help guide them. As you feel ready, come up through center with the knees and then over to the other side. Don't forget, a spirit of that ab work here is crunching the pelvis and the ribs together on the front. That makes sure that you're not doing too much of a back bend in your low back. So it's actually very, very nourishing for that low back. And then if you can really anchor those ribs down as the right arm reaches, you're getting some really great stretch into your chest, your armpit, the part of your spine that gets really, really stuck. Coming back through center there. If something else seems like it would feel nice, then by all means, continue to move in any way that feels good. If you'd like to rest, perhaps it feels nice to have your feet wider than your hips with your knees falling in on each other. Rolling around in the pelvis, you can find a place to set it that feels supportive. Sliding your head away. Remember that if you ever feel stressed out in your neck, you can always prop yourself up on a pillow. And it's this time for your nervous system to really absorb the practice. And it will do this best if you can cultivate a sense right now of relaxing to the degree that you relax in that moment before you go to sleep at night. Stay here for a few more moments and try that little exercise again. So imagine once again, it's the moment right before you tumble into sleep, and let your body relax as if it were that moment. It's really fun to continue to repeat this exercise over and over again as you find new layers of your relaxation. And so you might choose to kind of tune me out, continue to relax here, or if you're ready to transition, you might begin by deepening your breath, moving around in small ways, however that feels good. And you let those small ways gently build and become bigger ways. And you give yourself as much time as feels right in your transition. Don't rush it. Don't feel pressured because I'm saying things. And when you're ready, you can roll over into either side. This is a nice way to end practice here. But you might also decide that you want to come on up and end practice in a seat, either directly on your yoga mat or in your chair. And you can have your eyes open or closed, whatever feels right, as you take a moment to check in with yourself, to thank yourself for showing up to this class, to this challenge, and knowing that you won. You either succeed or you learn, and both of those are winning. The only thing you had to do was show up. So take a moment, celebrate your wins. Hold on to your confusions, your frustrations, but rebrand them as curiosities, new things to explore, new things to figure out, new frontiers. How exciting. Thank you so much for tuning in on this challenge. I hope you learned some things. I hope you feel some things. And I hope you feel so much more comfortable in your own skin. I can't wait to continue this journey with you as we continue on into our intermediate series, where we'll learn how to do all of our different yoga poses the quote unquote right way. Because if you are familiar with yoga, you've probably noticed that a lot of what we do in these classes is a little or a lot different from what you find in traditional yoga classes out in the world. And there's not a right or wrong with that. However, there are some ways of moving that are more specific and pack a far sweeter punch for us and give us more benefits. And so we'll learn about all of our yoga poses through that lens in the coming up series. So I really hope you'll join me for that. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for joining in this practice. Ollie, thank you for joining in this practice today. How are you feeling? Thumbs up. Okay, he's thumbs up. I hope you're thumbs up too. I'll see you here soon. Have a good day, my friend.